screen is sharing, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, it's Do you see the presentation mode or not?
Yeah, no,
I see
we're
the
seeing
slide
the
mode.
yeah.
Now I
The
see the sorter mode,
wrong shared.
the slide mode. We are live now already, Jürgen.
Not a problem.
No problem.
I will share again.
So welcome to everyone to the third edition of the Souveräne Datenökosystem seminar series. Hi Bernd, hi everybody. Perfect slide mode, Jürgen, all perfect. So the last edition showed that we should start with a slide intro to give others time to join for the meeting. My name is Matthias Nachtmann. I'm the chairman of the Friends of Digital Farming. This edition is in English, as we now are pleased to welcome Jeroen van Geite from Belgium, and he will present the DJust Connect approach from Belgium. Why we share data? Let me provide you with a framing for this series. When it's about internal company productivity, supply chain efficiency, or reporting, the importance of data, especially of farm data, in sustainability assessment, compliance check, and supply security is becoming more important. And there's a momentum on connect even systems and data spaces. When we means the German Agricultural Society, Appellando, the German Raiffeisenverband, German Bauernverband, GS1, and the German Association for Food Retail. When we discussed, we said we need first, if we come to content discussion, explain what is a data space, what is actually the data economy. And so we designed this series where Jürgen has now the third edition, and we have the pleasure to listen his experiences. So what we are not an advertisement campaign. The Friends have in their a preamble to support research and development and talents in digital farming. That's why we in parallel have also a project to analyze all these activities in the seminar series in detail. This also is not a closed shop, so please feel free to join, to forward your the invite, or even make proposals what to present. We now have planned to finish this seminar series at the beginning of December with a common European data space presentation. Now, for now, this is it. We have still about 1 hour. How we usually organize that. So Jürgen will present for 25 minutes, DJust Connect, why and how it was developed, what are the features, what are the data that are in scope of the data exchange. And it's specifically very top there, because we have here an example which is live on the market. And then after Jürgen have presented until about 12:30, then we have invited Erik Jennewein, who is a farmer. Due to the seasonality and ad hoc operations, he is on a tractor and bringing sugar beets from the harvester to the lorry. So he is not on the street, he is in a tractor. So he will listen and discuss with us and ask Jürgen questions to understand it better. And we have Lukas Turner from Markant, representing the food retail perspective, doing the same, so that we have a consistent analysis of what we have seen. And then, of course, you are also invited. I've opened the chat here, and thank you for the greetings of Bernd. So please also, if there are questions, feel free to share. Now we have 26 attendees. My role is the moderator, timekeeper. Jürgen, the stage is yours. Please start with your presentation. Important, we will record the whole sessions, this one as well, and it will be provided afterwards. Jürgen, stage is yours.
Okay. All right. I don't know if I can see who is all in the meeting and there are the people that I know or not. Can you hear me? You can hear me? Okay. Okay. Thank you
Yes.
very much for the possibility to present. I will talk both about the Flemish regional data space, which is Just Connect, which is indeed, as you said, a fully operational data space. You can check us on the internet, and I will also talk about how many farmers are using us and about the actual data flow that is going over it. But I will also, it's also very important to know that we are one of the main partners of seeds. As Ilvo, we are coordinating this proposal, but we have very good partners, for instance, with also the German partner Fraunhofen, but many more. So we are leading this European agricultural data space, and Just Connect has the full ambition to be part of that and to play its role over there in the most cooperative way as possible. So I will talk about Just Connect, but please don't interpret that as the fact that we would not think that the future is in the European data space. But I just heard that you will have a talk about the European agricultural data space also, Matthias, later, so we can you will know all about that later. Very short about myself. I will not talk too much about it, but I think it's always important that you know why people are doing this, because, for instance, Just Connect is a non-for-profit initiative. It is not that me or any other working on it becomes more rich when we sell it or not, or when we promote it or not. We are working for a mission and not for any other reasons, actually. I think this is very important for us. So we are ambassadors, and myself, I lead the department, but we are ambassadors for digital agri-food, and that is because we believe that digitization, especially in agri-food, is a real good step forward to more sustainability. I think I was probably born as an agricultural engineer. You could also say that I was born at Ilvo because I'm here 26 years nearly now, 25. But I'm fascinated by machinery, by agriculture. So I'm an agricultural engineer, but step by step, of course, I turn a bit over to the dark side of management and business development, and I have less and less time to do the real fun technical things. But as I said, I'm an ambassador, and I believe strongly in digitization, interoperability, and data sharing. And here you see me at Agritechnica working with very young farmers, explaining them how we are going to try to make a red tractor talk to a green tractor. And I think we are still working on it. It's not yet there, but we're making progress by progress, step by step. Okay. So for us, the why is always very important. And we share data because we want to create impact in our sector. And our sector goes all the way from the field to the fork. And I think you can not so easily find things that could create more impact than if we could really make data sharing work. I mean, you can nearly not underestimate it, because there are so much nice use cases and also business cases. They're not so easy to find always, but there are very clear business cases where data sharing can have true impact. For instance, I will give you some examples. Farmers in Belgium, thanks to the fact that we engaged in data sharing, now when they install new software, in very short time, minutes, they have all their data in the new software they install. If they install a farm management system, before they might have to do manual work in uploading data, even in indicating their parcels. Where are my parcels? What is on my parcels? Thanks to data flows coming from the government, but coming also from IoT sensors that has historical data, in very short time they're set up. So a farm management system that works with us has an advantage towards another one. So that's a case to work with. And the farmer will say, yeah, but look, if I'm a part of Just Connect, so please work with it, because then I will have less work setting up the stuff. Then smart machinery. I mean, as long as I'm here, we are talking about smart machinery. I start to think that it might become really possible with data sharing, because why do we need smart machineries? In Belgium, at least, you need a PhD to know what are the environmental rules if you're farming. How close can I come to the water? Which nozzle should I use, for instance, when spraying? Look, with data sharing, we're going to try, or we are already doing that the sprayer knows how close he can come to the water. He will know which nozzle can be used, because also the regulations and the setups and the information that the machines need can flow directly to the machine. So smart fertilizers, smart sprayers, that is coming up, but also smart factories. We are working with potato producers and potato harvesters to send directly yields and potato size information and other interesting data that comes with the potato directly to the factories. And if these factories, thanks to this data, can only make some, even a small percentage of gain, I mean, these are very big factories where we are the world #1 producer in frozen potatoes. If we can make these companies work more efficient thanks to data sharing, the impact is very high. Also in retail, and for instance, towards the consumer, we see now consumers work when they get sustainability data only in very few cases. Of course, probably there are already others doing this, but they get the real data from the farm. They work with averages on how much impact a certain produce has. But if you believe that you are the best, you can maybe say, look, but I want not an average impact calculation. I want an impact calculation from my farms, from the data from my farm, so I can beat the average databases that are there by creating data sharing from the farm to these applications. Another one that is very important to get data and to share data is what we call what is a bit the link is here with the government, calendar farming. So nowadays farmers get dates when they are allowed to do things. You can fertilize from this date, you can do this from this date. I mean, it doesn't give a lot of freedom to do your business and to do management. We believe that data sharing will allow data-driven policy making and data-driven results. What I mean is, we don't need to say to the farmer when he should fertilize. We need him to share his data to show that he did fertilize in the right way, that his soil is in great condition. So give him back the possibility to do his management, let him decide when he should do things, but make him responsible for the results that he needs to send and to share with the government. Of course, researchers, I will go quickly over that, they are very interested in getting the shared data, but for them it can be even anonymized, so it doesn't need consents. And more and more we see data platforms like ours, data spaces, also stepping into the system and being part of this chain. I think what we need to make all these fantastic stories. They are not stories because from each of them we are running them in real life. But what do we need for that? We need access to qualitative data. We need security, trust, and fair use, interoperability and scalability, and a clear governance. And we think these things are delivered to us, actually. They are there. The big five of the European data strategy, they deliver us these components to do this. I think most people here are very familiar with them, so let's not spend time on going into detail. But the European data strategy delivers us the framework to do these things. So did we make our farmers, and by extent the whole chain that I just talked about, very happy with these data strategy and the implementation that we are using it? We gave some apps to our farmer. You have an app for fertilizing. We gave him also an app for reporting on his milk quality, an app for spraying, an app to see how he needs to feed his cows, an app, more and more apps, more and more applications, websites where farmer can add data. And meanwhile, we created so much complexity that we have a kind of what we call the twilight zone, where our farmers are getting lost in, I need to put the data several times, I need to type the data over and over again, and how can we solve this? And I think there is a nice solution in this data space concept, and there are several data spaces in Europe, but of course the most important one is the one of agri-food that's aligned with our mission. So we believe that this data space can be a solution for that. And for us, I'm not going to talk with you too much what is a data space, because if you ask 12 people what is a data space, we might get 13 definitions, but at least there are some important components for us. It is defined by a sector or by an application, and it needs decentralization. It's a decentralized infrastructure. So our ambition is not to bring all the data together in one pile, put all the data in one data hub. No, we leave the data where it is and we bring it together when we need it. We actually built the plan already. or the recipe for making a data space in a previous project. It was called Agri Data Space. And in that project, we made the full blueprint. As well on the legal and ethical framework, the multi-stakeholder governance was defined. We decided that we were going to be technology agnostic, and we made proposals for sustainable business models. This was the first attempt in the preparation of building the European data space. And we created a lot of deliverables, and a lot of information is there, and it's really nice to read it, but it is not yet the full concrete plan on how to build a data space in real life. There we are still working on now in our European in the European agricultural data space called SEEDS. But as I admit that it's still there, just a plan, some actors already start really building the house. So not just leave it with the plan and not just have it in nice PowerPoints like I'm giving you now, but start doing something real. Because they wanted to solve, as I said, the problem that, let's say that tomorrow you want to build a sustainability application, or maybe an application to inform the farmer on how to feed his cows in the most sustainable way, economically, social, environmental, sustainable. You want to develop an application, but if you need to do that, you need to go to many different actors who have the data. Let's say about this sustainability or this feeding tool, you need to have information from the vets. You need to have data from the fertilizer company. You need to have data from the dairy company. You have a lot of data from the government. So for all these data sets, you need to make an agreement, and you need to ask consent for all these data set to the farmer. So each time the farmer says, yes, you can use my fertilizer data, and you will have to make a deal on that. The deal does not necessarily needs to be euros. It can also be to use the first prototype or to have a free license. It doesn't matter, but you will have to give some value. We use this in our typical way of explaining the issue as the spaghetti. You mean there is a total mess between the data users and the data providers. Now we actually proposed, or we developed, a very simple solution, which is called our Just Connect, actually, where we offer in an API shop, and by the use of connectors and API management, we offer a circular solution. So this person or this company wanting to develop this application, he can just tap in to the platform, and all these data providers, the fertilizer company, the dairy company, the soil analysis guys, the government, are connected. And we maintain the connections for you. So it's a one-to-many connection, instead of having to do everything yourself and even not being sure that your connections are maintained. So that is maybe another way of explaining it. The pink actor is the application builder. He asks to the platform, I want the data of 3,000 Flemish farmers from on their dairy, some dairy information, data sets. The dairy companies say, yeah, we have the data, but we cannot give it to you. We need consent of the farmers. Those 3,000 farmers will get a question. Do you want to share? And the farmer can say, yes, the data can flow. It is as simple as that, actually. Just making clear that in this consent, there needs to be how long, for what do I get back? So there's a clear explanation in the question if the farmer wants to share or not. So what do we offer with this system? We have one clear data market. You can go to our Connect shop if you want. It's on the website. I think we have around 60 public APIs at the moment. It's an open platform, so everybody can join. It's not that because the competitor is there that the other company cannot join. You can have perfectly two potato harvester buildings from builders or the machine manufacturers from that are competitors on our platform. We have them actually. We foresee one clear dashboard for our farmers where they can see everything that is asked and where they can say yes or no. And a very difficult one, we have one clear contract for all, one contract to rule them all. There is no specific contract for a data provider, a data user, or a more complex contract for a bank than for a farmer. We work with one clear contract. So we're there for the farmer, we're there for the data provider, and we're there for the data user. This screenshot is to show you, I really invite you to go to the website, put it in English, then scroll a little bit down and you can go to our Connect shop and you will see this here, the API parcel information from Flemish farmers and horticulturists. This is the Ajax data also that is in there, API harvesting, milk payment statements. There are different different APIs. And then you could ask me again, or you talked in the beginning about impact. How much impact did you really create, and did you make a difference for farmers? Well, I will first tell you how we thought that we could get impact. And normally this is the place where I ask in my presentation, do you know what is the biggest burden for farmers? But I think all microphones are closed and it will become a mess here. So I will give the answer myself this time. But if you're a bit into the business and you talk to farmers, or even in the farm to food ecosystem, you know that they are overwhelmed by paperwork, and not only our farmers, also the businesses around them. So we decided that a lowering administrative burden could be our best way in to create impact. And you will see that now, I checked it yesterday, this is a little bit on the limit. We have 3,900 and something, but I put it 4,000. We checked it yesterday because we had a Just Connect board meeting. So we have 4,000 farmers in Belgium. There are in Flanders, there are 20,000. So at the moment we have 20%. No, there are 80,000 actually. So we have around 25% of the farmer market that is using Just Connect. And this is using Just Connect, really using, because actually, as we have governmental data, and we could also say that all farmers are connected, but that would be over pitching it. So we have now 4,000 that are using this and that are giving consents on the platform. And here is our idea. More data shared is less administration. By giving soil analysis, farm identification, mapping, parcel information systems, we can make some very nice applications that are very important for farmers. We can get to 80% less administrative burdens. It flows into climate scans, it flows into well, it's even in German here, Qualität der Milchkette, because we are doing this for all languages in Belgium, into farm management information systems, into the soil passport in Belgium. So by doing this, we get a lot of traction with farmers. And in the next step, only in the next step, we are then also talking to decision support providers that say, look, we have already this data that we got to lower your administrative burden. Now we can also offer you this data to do some smart management and some extra things with that. So we're customer driven and business case driven. So we always start from the business case. Our sentence is actually the actors around the table should be convinced about data sharing, even if they would do it by USB sticks or on paper. You need to be sure that there is value behind it. And then you can say, okay, but the most easy, the cheapest way to do that is using a data space. We're very close to the sector. I still believe that it's very difficult to do the data sharing if you don't have the domain experts also with you. You need to know what you're talking about. And then you have to be very good in trying to convince the farmers of what is the real benefit of data sharing. So our platform is neutral. It has domain knowledge. It puts the ownership of the farmer for the data as first. And one important point I need to pitch, we still think that there is a public-private component for several reasons. The government can, of course, give you seed money in the beginning, but you also need the trust of the government, because the government has some interesting data sets that can fuel your engine when you start. Also, but that's a vision. Nobody needs to agree with our vision. We think that at this moment, setting up a fully private platform is not easy. We like to refer to data as a utility, like electricity, like water. There is data. And we think that the electricity and the water was not started from scratch by private companies. It has been the responsibility of the government to put these things there, out there, and then later it was taken over, at least in our country, by private actors. But there was an upfront responsibility, and I think for electricity and water for long term, it was a governmental responsibility. So we might want to think in the same way about data. In Belgium, we also have the data utility company. So it says something that data might be seen as a utility. Because on the other hand, I think for those who know something about platform economies, you will have many years of being in the red numbers before your platform becomes sustainable. So you need an actor behind it who wants to take these red numbers for a long time. So do you want to be it as a small startup, or do you want to do it in another way, or do you want to do it with a hyperscaler? That are different, that are strategic decisions that you need to do. So I think I already said that trust, involvement, and are very important from as a platform, but also farmers and also farmer businesses, they need support. We have a help desk 7/7, 24 hours, actually. Well, maybe a bit exaggerated, but I'm quite sure that if you call our people, even in the weekend and late, they will pick up to help farmers getting connected. And you need, of course, the right data sources. And then I think I just have my slide here saying that these are our, probably it's not 100% updated, but our current partners. And I want to make the last 2 minutes to make the jump to Europe. These are some of the platforms active at the moment in Europe, and you can discuss if it's our data spaces or platforms and how mature they are, but these are the biggest harvest. And what we want to do now, the way forward towards Seeds, is to start connecting these platforms. Just Connect has links with Triton, with the Walloon platform. We are working with Polish connections. So more and more, we are motivating these platforms to start working together. And of course, this is not necessarily a technological challenge, but rather a business discussion and a governance discussion, of course, because you need to be sure, for instance, that if Just Connect accepts a consent of a farmer, that maybe the German platform has the same consents. Well, how to say, if the one platform is very easy in accepting a consent or another one is very difficult in accepting a consent, you cannot exchange consent. So it's not necessarily a technical issue alone. So that is what Seeds would have to look like. I mean, I'm a little bit simplifying it because we're actually working in two ways. We believe that bottom up, we need to connect existing platforms, but top down, we also think we need to offer some horizontal components. So Seeds will offer horizontal components. I'm not going to go into details because these are running discussions, but what should come from the European level of Seeds and what should come bottom up is an ongoing discussion. You don't want to kill your grassroots initiatives, and we want not to play our own platforms out of the market. So that's a running discussion. What are our platforms happy with that Seeds offers, and what are they willing to pay for it? Because make no mistake, Seeds is now for 2 years we have funding for 3 years, but it's not the project. It needs to be there after this funding. So we actually see ourselves as a startup with some seed money now, and in 3 years we need to have it running. So if we develop a component now, I'm just seeing something, an identity framework or a certain catalog, afterwards our members will have to pay for it. It cannot be there for free. So that is it. I think this is the biggest. That is the end of our talk, and I like to end with the quote of a very famous person. Like, farming looks mighty easy when your plow is a pencil and you're 1,000 miles away from the cornfields. And I think we do a lot of business development, and having business developers, they need to know the business. They need to know farming. Otherwise, you cannot convince somebody about sharing data. Okay, that's my presentation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Jürgen. On point. Now, our approach and methodology says that, first of all, thank you very much, and applause as the attendees
Thank
also
you.
symbolize. Congratulations already for your how far you have gone already, and since when you have gone. Now, the question now is to Eric and to Lucas. Come up with the first questions from a farming and from a food retail perspective. Eric?
Yeah, hello everybody. I hope you can hear me. I'm sitting on my tractor. Thank you very much, Jürgen. This is very interesting. This is a topic we discussed for a long time, because a huge challenge is the share of data in agriculture. And just to be sure, as I understood, it's an open platform for the whole chain, right?
Jürgen, your mic is muted.
Yes, and that's why our slide is not updated. We have retailers, or we have a small company selling wine, for instance, and using sustainability data from us. But we started from the farming side, and we are strongly farmer oriented. For instance, all our board are farmer cooperatives. So the farmers have a big say in what we do, but we cover the whole chain. And it's also, of course, a bit easier to find the companies in the farming than the retailers. And that's something that we are now actively working on. And it's very important. We want to avoid that retail starts doing their own business and their own platform, and then we on our side start building all kind of things. And then when we meet, it seems that we were on two different things, and then I'll let you think who has most power. So let's see how we, as soon as possible. I mean, I would give it as an advice to accelerate on the retail connections or on the rest of the chain. So the answer is yes, we are there for all, but we are starting from the farmer side, and there is our decision power is also there. But we are working very hard and actively on connecting retail, and in Belgium we have already these connections. But for instance, in the European level, I know that it's, I need to say, be correct. Yeah, you're coming from Agri, and it's from DG Agri. Also, DG Connect is funding the project, of course, but we need at the European level to talk more to the retailers. I think if you look at our use cases, there are not enough retail-oriented use cases. I hope I answered.
Yeah, thank you very much. Another question, if I'm allowed. The challenge is, like you said before, that we have to share data with all kinds of, with retailers, with mills, with processors, and there is no limit for which data we can upload or we can share. You just gather every kind of data in which form ever, or this is the way it is, right?
Yes. We do everything what is necessary to support the customer. That's why I wrote customer driven. Probably our IT services would sometimes say we are doing too much because it costs a lot of money if you are always trying to be customized. But yes, all data can flow over it. And we, maybe to answer the next questions, we promote standards, but they're not obligatory. I will tell you why. I was in Europe, in Austria 2 days ago, and I talked with some business people and developing software for this, and they say, which standards you use? And the answer was whatever standard is needed to share the data. Because if finally somebody comes to you and he says, Jürgen, okay, you convinced me, I want to share the data, and then you tell him, yeah, but it's the wrong standard, or your data is a mess and we are not going to use it. Maybe you can say that if you have 1,000 clients waiting, but you cannot say that if you're a starting platform and you want to fill your engine with data. So we are very, even if people would put it probably in an Excel, we will still help them making it into an API and publishing it, because a lot of the companies, even if they want to share data, they don't have already inside their company perfectly organized everything. So they need support. So again, the answer is yes, we share all the data in whatever format is necessary.
Which is a big challenge for farmers, is the share of trends. This is like I understood you the right way. So I can, for example, I have my guidelines, my field borders I have on my transit system, but I also have a fence system. The idea is also to be able to change the data in between these systems.
Yes. Data portability is very, very important, but there is a very big but. You as a farmer are in the lead. So it means if you need to share from your machine to another, DJust Connect cannot push the machine guys to do it. It's the farmer who needs to tell them, look, I want my data to be moved from there to there. And therefore there is the Data Act nowadays. So that is of course not the power that DJust Connect have. We cannot say to whatever company, I'm not going to point out to certain sectors, but it doesn't matter. Even a soil analysis company in Belgium sometimes tells us, sorry, we're not going to share the data. But then the farmer needs to say, look, this is my soil analysis data, and I need to fill in an important document for the government, and otherwise you will send it on PDF, and I need to put it in manually. So send it automatically over DJust Connect. Otherwise, I will miss my subsidies, for instance. And not everybody does it.
Okay, thank you very much.
But I have very good discussions with a very good person on that. I think his name is Matthias Nieuwburg. And he's deeply involved in this, also in the legal side of this. So that is also something that you need, legal support.
Thank you for all the very good questions, Eric, from the farmer side. Now, maybe more attention coming to Lucas. What's your view from a food side?
Yes, very interesting. So maybe to introduce Makan for 1 second, we we are a food retailer with an own business, but we are also a big EDI provider. So having a big, strong view now on or also experience background and having different data formats, linking them together. So your very nice presentation. Thanks a lot. I have three aspects. So you had one point in your presentation where you asked, so where's the impact? And I was wondering, could we change the question at that point of the presentation, asking where's the issue with efforts? So what I understood is that you provide a lot of platform APIs. What about when they change? What's the process behind?
I don't think I get what do you mean if they change?
Like what we see is that so the providers would provide an API, you have it in your platform, and then there's an update, there's a change. How is that process running?
But if you are a data consumer from us, you don't need to worry about that. That's our job as a platform all the time to make sure that the API of the data provider is there. Is that an answer or not?
Maybe it's an answer to some extent, because I was wondering from a consumer side of your platform, isn't it a hell of effort if it changes a lot? And yeah, like
no, as a data provider, I will try to understand your question. I'm not sure, but let's say you as we have retailers that are interested in sustainability data. For instance, this sustainability data is provided to them by a company or an actor that calculates sustainability scores on farms. And for these sustainability scores, they have APIs automatically flowing to Just Connect. The tool does the calculations. The data flows back to Just Connect. Again, consent, and then to the retailer. So not directly from the application to the retailer, but from the application first again over Just Connect, because the farmer needs to give consent again on send. So first on putting the data into the to the climate impact calculation tool, but then also to say my outcome can be shared with the retailer. So there is a double consent on that. If making sure that this application can run, that is the responsibility of our platform and the responsibility of our data providers, because if they share a contract, make a contract with us, they of course have the responsibility to keep up their API, and that is checked by us. I don't know if it helps.
Yeah, that helps a lot, because what's behind, right? That there was a question towards cost drivers of your proposal, and the other part I was wondering, you've been talking and making nice thoughts about how to finance such a platform. So I was wondering about pricing strategies.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe you could
I
say one or two
I can be
words
quite
about.
transparent about that. It's not a problem. We are farmers are for free, so the farmer does not pay. Although it would help us a lot if 4,000 farmers would would pay a bit, but for the moment, as this is the farmer cooperative platform, and some of our investment money came from the farmer cooperatives. So you could say farmers paid in the beginning for it to start it. So farmers are for free. And then if you want to put data on the platform, you pay a yearly subscription fee. And that one is higher than the ones who take off the data. So it are the companies that use the platform that pay. So the fertilizer company that publishes an API and that delivers data will pay a little bit less or quite less in its yearly subscription fee than the one who takes off data. That's how it works. And I can even give you an idea. I'm not a business developer, but I think we are around prices having to do between 2,500, 5,000 euros a year. And it depends not at all. We all been there through these discussions with business model. It doesn't depend on how much data you take from the platform. It depends on from how many farmers you want data. So if you would say I need 300 farmers or I need 5,000 farmers, that would be a different price. Does that help?
Yeah, definitely. It helps, and it's not a model where you would in the end pay farmers for entering data of them?
That's a nice question. I like that question because then I can always say, if you start, I don't know, there are farmers here, so I will just speak up loud. But my impression is, if in Flanders, I will put myself safe. If in Flanders I go to a farmer and I will tell them I will pay you for your data, the first thing I think he will do, and I'm from a farmer family, is to put his data deep away, very safe, and tell me, okay, I will sell it later. I'm not so much in favor of this business model where we start promising farmers that we will pay them. There was a time some years ago even that some people pitched farmers will earn more by selling their data than by selling their produce. First of all, farmers are not data sellers. They are good in making produce and not in making data, or not in selling data. Secondly, I think the value is more in you get the first license, you will have a lower price when you buy the machine and these things. Because if you think further on it, if tomorrow all tractor manufacturers need to pay more for the data from a farmer to make their next prototype, what will they do? They will raise the price of the next tractor and the farmer will pay anyway.
Yeah. So I totally agree. So that was just
I know.
Because we always get these questions, and I think it's a foolish idea to run a system, and thanks for highlighting these points. So maybe just one last point I would like to speak about. You have mentioned that it's hard to raise retail cases for your platform. So what we find having it to do with a trend of trademarks, right? So a competition between supermarket brands and normal brands, right? Outstanding brands. That you have a lot of antitrust considerations in these cases with data sharing. So how do you deal with these issues?
To be honest, this is a new point for me. We had a discussion with machine manufacturers about antitrust and if they would work together in a platform and these things on data. But from the retail side, I didn't consider this. From the retail, our challenge is more, I think, to convince farmers to share it. Rather, I mean, they don't like. There is some concern about sharing with government. There's also some concern about sharing with retail because the reflection farmers make, but if tomorrow they know how much pigs I have or how much potatoes I have, then they will use this in the negotiations. And that is what I'm not saying this is right. And on the real business, we have a deeper expert. I'm the guy to bring the talk, but our manager about Just Connect knows very well all these sensitivities. But what you bring in here about antitrust, it's the first time I understood this, because for us, we talk one retailer at a time. It's one retailer who asks us, we would like to have sustainability data on our products, or in our we would like to have an app from Carrefour that gives all the sustainability scores. It never came up to me that it could be a trust problem, an antitrust problem. Can you explain it a bit better for me?
Yeah, maybe the question is not too much about violating antitrust rules, but about getting competition issues, right? To share data. So at least in the cases we have similar models in other fields, we always have some considerations of industry partners. Do I really want to share it with the brand owners of supermarket brands on data sharing? So that's a for us familiar case where I had the assumption that you might run into issues.
No, it's new. I even would like to discuss it with you to understand it better. It will take too much time. But that's not the biggest issue up till now. Or they didn't tell us the truth, but mostly it's about being a little bit afraid as a farmer to put your data in the chain and what it would mean for you, and if they then know too much information about your business.
Sure. Thank you.
We have also two questions from the audience, or is there something to add, Lucas, from your end?
No, it's fine. Let's move to this.
Okay, so Jürgen Graf from Thünen Institute applauds you. He seemed to be a fan. saying that your DJust Connect is the most mature data sharing initiative in the EU from his perspective. Now he asked if you can give some idea which services and products are realized and which also generate significant income for DJust Connect, because you talked about the importance of long-term public funding. And then if you're answering that, can you give an idea of the current situation and relation public funding versus, let's say, commercial income from customers or partners? So what's your answer to that one?
Well, I hope our transparency is appreciated, because we tell a lot about, and I think we could have made sometimes already more money by consultancy than by selling data. But I think at the moment we cover 20% of our costs with real paying customers. Okay. The rest we are able to do thanks to smart innovation and smart, because, for instance, we try always, if we test a new component, like for now we're investigating wallets, the wallet technology, to make it possible in Just Connect. We are always trying to find a research project to do that, so that the cost of testing wallets does not fall as a whole on Just Connect. And we test it in a research environment with some extra funding from the Commission, for instance. And then when the component is mature, we can integrate it into Just Connect. So that's part of our model. Also, we are very careful, and we do most of the developments at the moment in-house. So we have nobody who can send us an invoice that we need to pay every month. If we have less customers, we scale less. We maybe put some innovative ideas a little bit later, or we stop with some developments. So we can easily scale there. I think that is because we get a lot of offers from IT providers saying, look, we will bring you a lot of very nice components, and that's true. But then you get, of course, connected to the system, and you don't have anything anymore. You don't have the full control anymore. That's, I think, a second part. We're also very, but okay, maybe that doesn't help you, but very careful with going in too big, you know. I mean, we are very careful, step by step, and only when we're 100% convinced of a use case, and also when we make publicity and when we do things, we try to be very careful on what we do. So that is part of it. Secondly, the public-private funding, as I said. For instance, the Belgian government, the Flemish government, I need to be careful there, also supports by saying, look, we would like to see your help desk more developed, so that more farmers get access to the platform, and we get some funding for that. So that's also a way that we get some extra money. Then I think part of the question was also, if I remember well, because I cannot read the full chat, what is mostly working for the moment? And I think these are the ones that I showed on my slides. Sustainability calculation, CSRD reporting. And I think this is, Lucas, to come back to you, that is a very important one where we have traction with retailers. Scope 3, CSRD reporting, science-based targets, even more. So retailers that want to make progress on science-based targets, for instance, and want to work with the real data, my point there, not with average data. That's something that gives us traction to retail. So these are our use cases where we find clients. So when you get the mix of data that needs to come from the government, data that needs to come from the businesses, and from the farm, when the three are together, we have traction. When it's business only data, you don't have the governmental component in the data. I mean, some businesses might think, okay, why do we need Just Connect? Let's do this bilateral, you know. When there are only two players who wants to exchange data, they don't see many reasons to implement Just Connect. But when you need some of our data sets that we already have, they come to us, or when they are in a one-to-many situation. Then, of course, it's more easy to connect to us and let us do the rest of the connections than to do it all by yourself. I don't know if that was enough answer to these questions, because there were several components in this question.
Maybe Martin, while Kraft, while I cite Bernd, so as I understand, it was pretty complete. I'm impressed about the 20% of costs covered by the commercial business side. While Martin maybe might give feedback if this was enough, I would deep dive a little bit on that question. Do you have the experience in that mixed model? Yeah, public funding and commercial money, combination with funded research project. Isn't that defocusing the team from the core commercial opportunity? So, you know, if you get money to do research project, you deliver it a research project.
Several components in that answer. First, it's not the same team. Just Connect could be a separate company actually, because there are other people. I mean, now I'm double, and you met Stephanie. We are people that are doing the two. But we have business developers on Just Connect. We have IT people on Just Connect. They don't need to bother about research projects. So that is. Then also you use the word research projects, but it are deployment projects. It means that, for instance, we work even in research in the high TRLs. Also, for instance, the European data space, it's Digital Europe, so you're allowed to deploy, to go very close to the market. But you're right, sometimes there are very nice use cases at low TRL levels, which are for research fantastic, but are not interested for Just Connect because the time to market is too long. But we are very severe on that then. Then we take it, we look, just as a business, you have your strategic long-term goals that you need to have in your head, and then you need to think what is going to deliver us customers by tomorrow. And it's a challenge, but I think we're quite good in managing that.
Okay. Next question from Gottfried von Lauer. So the needed data might differ in between users, if you have two different retailers. How do you cover additional data needs? So if there is something on top of your sustainability data. And the second question, retail does not always work directly with the farmer, but will need the data via supplier. Like you don't have the wheat data while you buy flour, for example. So how is that working? Can the retailer collect the data on daily basis from the platform?
Yeah,
actually,
of course.
Questions.
You can. I mean, it depends on different APIs, and I'm not an API specialist, but some of the data is always available. It also has to do with push and pull, but that's not my stuff. But you can the data is there always at any moment you need it, and some of them will send automatically that is updated. For others, you will have to ask if it's an updated data, but it's always there. And maybe I explained it wrongly, but we have I think we have no data that is really at the farm. I mean, in 95% of the cases, farmer data is not in a farm. That is what it makes it a bit complex. The farmer data is in the cloud systems, mostly of the business they work with. I mean, it's the fertilizer company that has a lot of the data available. It's owned by the farmer, but it's not on his computer. I mean, we would go bankrupt if we have to go find the data on the computers of the farmers, because there are so many systems. So what we do is, that's why I showed this slide with these three components. The data flows B2B. The dairy company has the data from their customers. The fertilizer has and it flows from the business to the business, and the farmer is in between as like a third party who has a button and says yes or no. So when a retailer needs data from another company or from somebody else in the chain, these are also just connected to Just Connect, and the farmer is again in between if it's his data. That depends. Not all data is owned by the farmer, of course. But I don't know if that is a question 2.2. Then the needed data may differ in between users. For instance, two retailers. Yes, that's true, but that doesn't matter so much. For us, for instance, retailer 1 can use a certain application to get sustainability scores. Retailer 2 uses another application because they believe more in another calculation tool or other, and they might have different data needs. For us, it would be easier if all these retailers would use the same application. But both applications just come into Just Connect, and Just Connect can goes well, if we have the data, it's easy. If we don't have the data, we go out and talk to the owners of the data and say, look, we have now a new player that needs your data. Do you want to make it available on Just Connect? So we do this case by case. It's not that we put all the sustainability data for one retailer together in one API, and then we need to make something new for the other one. It's the application who pulls the data APIs together. I don't know if that's well explained.
Yeah,
Is that
I
a good
think,
answer for this number one, the needed data made different in between users?
Yeah, for example, let's say if one company would say we want to differentiate next year, that's how I at least could interpret this question. I would like to focus on water use efficiency. Yeah, there's a good company reasoning in the strategy saying we want to differentiate with specific information on water use efficiency. So what could be is how these additional, assuming you need additional data, which is not in the system. So how you would organize to get that data, which you need to calculate, let's say, a portfolio water use efficiency KPI.
Yes, but I'm not 100% sure about this specific data line, but farmers need to report on sustainability towards different actors. So the chances are quite high that this data line is already available in some of the other applications. It would be very strong if somebody comes up with a new sustainability KPI that is not yet somewhere being used. So the KPIs to calculate sustainability can change, but most probably somebody else has already asked for this information at the farm. So I would think that the data would be available at that stage. Also, there are only so many, I will speak for Flanders at least, climate calculation tools. And you can use the French one or the Belgian one, but there are some European rules to recognize them. So the basic backbone of these impact tools are, I think, more or less the same. I'm not our sustainability expert. I should ask her, but you have the environmental footprinting methods and the PEF methods and all these things. Of course, retailers can put extra things, but mostly there is a lot is the same. But to give you an example, it's more like science-based targets, for instance. There, a retailer can say, I want to work on something very specific. Then it will work like this. They will come to us and they will say, we need this data, and we will use our network to find the persons who have this very specific data, and we will have to convince them to come to Just Connect, and there will have to be a business case. And that's why I also said you need somebody who knows the sector. If you are not then very engaged in nearly all sectors like we do, when we know about from pigs to soil, you need to know these people and you need to go out and talk to them, because all this thing has nothing to do with technology, whether it's a data space, a USB stick, or a letter that you send to each other. It's about trust. It's about knowing the ecosystem and convincing people that there is value in sharing their data.
You can look on the time, 2 minutes left. Final question of Matthias Jäger from the German Retail Association. How is the data from different sources verified? One sentence.
For some of the data we have, I'm searching for the right name. Certification bodies that check it. So the tool is certified. The tool that does the calculation is certified, and he needs to be responsible for the certification of the data. Just Connect does not do the certification of the data up till now. So we ask external player for that. And it's a very good question because it's something that is not perfect yet. And that is also the business case is not clear yet, because that comes also with an extra cost. So very good question. And there is some work on it.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Everyone, Jürgen for the presentation, for Eric and Lukas for asking the questions, as well all the colleagues in the call asking the question and supporting that discussion. Thank you very much. We are almost close. Just to finish with, thank you, Jürgen. Next edition is next week, Wednesday, the 22nd at noon. There we learn about, and Jürgen mentioned, joint data from the Netherlands. So we will keep on going that discussion. Thank you very much for the interest, and thank you very much all of the energy you provide to us, Jürgen, as a community. and let's see what the German market can learn and do from that. In the beginning of the call, Jürgen already offered a follow-up discussion. Whoever is interested to bring this to the next level in Germany, Jürgen is open. Contact details can be shared. But for
just maybe one last second. Indeed, that's true. We are very open also in cooperating. If it's in line with our mission, we are very open in others to use the platform, share how we did it, even talk about our technology. Everything is available if you want. Okay?
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Jürgen. Thank you very much to everyone. Have a great day. Meet you again next Wednesday. Thank you. Spot on. So, who else is in the call? I could open the call. Wir sind nur noch Deutsche. Warte mal. Wir können auch jetzt besprechen, eine Nachbesprechung machen. Wer Lust hat, kann mitmachen. Ich versuche jetzt hier mal online eure Mikros freizuschalten. Hans, hörst du uns?
Ja. Hör ich mich?
Okay. Gottfried von Lau, hören Sie uns? Das scheint nicht zu gehen. Nachträglich. Okay, nee, sorry. Dann würde ich an der Stelle herzlich Danke sagen, Lukas, und allen, die noch da sind und hiermit den Call beenden.
Schönen Tag noch. Tschüss.
Ciao.
Ja.